Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. I've been a fan of Brian Eno's for many years. He's got a new album out really just this past week. His card deck, Oblique Strategies, hundreds of worthwhile dilemmas. I don't know what exactly they call it, but it's kind of a deck of cards. You can pull one and it'll do a little conceptual block busting. It'll get you over a hump or help you go in a certain direction or kind of release certain creative juices. It's a great tool. Well, I've got a little time today and I want to do something, but I don't really know what I want to do. Let's pull a card and see where it takes me. Well, this is the stack of cards. There's several hundred here. I don't know how many. Let's pick a card. It says, who should be doing this job? How would they do it? Okay, let's go. Okay, so what I realized is that this is a real Simone Gertz type challenge. She's a great maker. Her channel's amazing. And what she'll do is she'll like work with some strange object or device and build off that. It also reminds me of Andrew Wong's channel where he'll like clip a bunch of things out and make full beats out of it. So to that end, I'm going to go get something and I'll be right back. Okay, here's the charango, which is, what it's called. And I don't know, I might have tuned it 5 months ago. It's not something I leave out, but it's got a beautiful sound. Let's do some strikes and maybe some strums. Okay, I'm going to denoise that, drop it into a sampler, and move forward. I got to say, that took longer than I expected, but it was really, really fun. The charango is a very strange instrument, and I feel funny holding a little armadillo body. But what was most interesting about it was the strike. And so I created a Kontakt instrument. And the instrument itself here, you can see, is just based on one sample. And I've done a lot of the things that I love to do when I work on a sample instrument. For instance, I tuned it so that I can reliably play a note and get away with it. And when I play a C, I hear more or less a C, although it's a pretty complicated sound. Now, I've used I've used filtering in order to focus on the sound, and I'm modulating that filter. You can see it right here. It's a simple bandpass filter with envelope generators and velocity, so that as I strike a little harder, I get a little more highs, etc. I'm also using a tiny bit of compression. And then down below we have some effects, this ensemble effect, and then a little convolution reverb. I also love to do this. Of course, control velocity, control amplitude or volume with velocity, but also use key position across the keyboard to change the pan so that when I play up here, it's more to this side and more to that side there. And so I wind up with an instrument sound that's very playable. It gets a little bit duller as I strike softer, a little bit brighter as I strike harder. And I'm sending it through a couple of effects, including the just very, very fun Baby Audio crystalline reverb and spaced out. These are both, I guess I would just describe them as sort of electronic effects, although crystalline is really a terrific reverb in its own right for any number of styles of music. Spaced out gives you a whole bunch of modulations and then also some reverb, and you can kind of like trip around between the two. That has this kind of like wonderful mod matrix you have right here. So I've got this great little part that just sort of came out of playing around with it a little bit. For those of you following along at home, C, A minor, F, E minor. Add a little pulse underneath it. It's Imagine with a sequencer. And then because I can, a kick. 4 on the floor. You get the idea. Got to get somebody into top line over that. A really kind of like, I never would have got to it myself if I hadn't picked up my Oblique Strategies deck and asked it, how should I think about this? And the answer was, think about being somebody else, basically, who really should be doing this. And so I took a little sort of like maker's excursion into playing around with the charango. And the card that I just pulled out here, take away the elements in order of apparent non-importance. Well, I hope this has been useful. Do all the cliched things we do here on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Click the bell, you'll be notified when I do my next video, and I'll see you next time.